In this video, I'm going to show you a very simple method for creating smoothly blended transitions using the eraser tool. So, first thing is I need things that I'm going to blend. So I cropped out this orange and I cropped out an arm. They're both on separate layers so that I can move them independently and get them to where I want them to be. So first, let's get some positioning down. I think we'll move this arm first by going to the arm layer, and then I can come up to edit, and then free transform or transform and change it, or use the quick key command T. So I'm just going to quick key this. I'm going to transform it around, and I think I actually would just want to do some a little bit of switching. I want the arm like coming out of it just a little bit. Flip it like that, and I think I'm going to come and I'm going to flip it horizontally. And we'll get it down into the corner here. That's good for the orange. Then we'll come to my arm, and I'll get my arm so that it looks like it's growing out of the orange. So I'm going to go to quick transform with command T, move my arm to where I think it will look good coming out of this orange. That's disgusting. So we'll keep it right there. But although the positioning looks pretty good, I still need to create a transition from the arm into the orange. So what I'm going to do for this one, and this is a destructive method, meaning that it alters the pixels and it removes it. So I have to be very conscious about how I'm erasing things. I'm going to switch over to the eraser tool. And that is quick button E if I want to. I'm going to make the eraser tool nice and large so I can come up to the top here and I can change properties of how I want this to work. I'm going to make it kind of larger at first so that you guys can see it, and I can do it either up here or in when I'm clicked out of there, I can use the left and right bracket key to get it larger or smaller very quickly. There's a couple other methods, but those are the ways that I like doing it because it's pretty smooth. So I'm going to make it large so you can see how this will erase. And at first, oftentimes the hardness will vary. Sometimes it's at 100 hardness, or I can scale down to 0. What that means is the edge is either very sharp at 100 hardness or very diffused with like a gradual change at 0. So if you can see at 100, it just cuts a very clean line for the most part, and I had the opacity down just a little bit. So if I go back to the eraser, and I'm going to undo that because I don't want it, so I'll come to edit and then undo, which is command Z. The flow is at 66%, so I'm going to change it to 100. And you can see it just takes a clean chunk out. And while that's good for erasing some areas, which I might want to do down here where I don't really need a lot of the arm, it won't work to create a smooth transition. So what I'm going to want to do is come to my eraser and make a couple of changes. So I'm going to zoom in up here so you guys can better see. So I have my eraser, and I'm going to change I like the size being pretty large, and sometimes it works better if it's larger, but I'm going to bring down my hardness down to very low. I think 0 is kind of nice, and we'll zoom out again so you can see what that'll look like. But if I erase now, it creates a gradated erasing. It's like very gradual, which is very nice. And I'm okay with it for right now, having a whole flow of 100, but I might drop it down. What I'm going to do is I am going to slowly kind of just softly erase around the edges. I'm not going to erase too much because I want this to be gradual. I still want this part of the arm to be sharp. So I'll have to use my eraser tool. I think for right here, I'm going to have it be a little bit harder, so 67. And I'm going to change the size down so that I have a little bit more control. And I'm just going to do a couple of little clicks to get a more sharp, clean erasing so that it looks like the arm is actually coming apart. And then I'm going to come up nice and large, and I think I'm going to use the edges. So I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit so it erases a little less. And I'm going to lower the hardness so I can create a nice smooth transition. So now it looks like it's kind of growing out of the orange and that the orange skin is becoming the skin of this arm. I'm doing just a couple of clicks here and there. And there we go. A nice, smooth, simple transition from the arm down to the orange. Something that's very helpful to do is make sure that there was lots of extra area. I wanted all that extra part of the arm so I can create a transition, because if I didn't leave enough arm, if I only had this much arm and I was trying to transition it into the orange, something that could happen is if it was like, if I needed it to be over at the side, you can see that there is not enough there to create a smooth transition. We have this like weird ghost gap, which I can work with if I move it kind of more into the body of the orange so that it more easily kind of like blends in. But if I don't have enough leading room to be able to make it work, or if I need it to come off the side, you need to make sure it might have that little gap. So you need to make sure that there's a little bit of extra. So there we go. I'll show it one more time. We'll add some strange sun rays to this really muscular orange. So I'm gonna switch over to the brush really quickly. I'm gonna create some, yellow highlights. I'm gonna create a new layer, and I'm gonna size up my brush nice and large. And in the same way, I'm gonna soften the brush. Oh, that got a little bit too large. So I'm going to make some sun rays. Fill this in. That's okay. I'm being a little bit rough right now. Again, I'm giving a little bit of extra space because I'm going to alter this some. Again, we'll make a smooth kind of transition, or a couple smooth transitions. So I'll switch over to my eraser tool, and this time I'm going to make it nice and big. Another way to alter the size is to hold down Control and Option, click and drag left and right to make it larger, and I can drag up and down to change the hardness. So I'm going to change my hardness down to really low. I want to change my opacity down to very soft, and I'm going to soften all of these so that they're kind of more evenly smooth and it feels more like light coming down. And then I'll do that same thing. I'll make it nice and big so I can just kind of get the edges, and I'm going to do a couple of clicks, erase on the edges so that the edges diffuse into nothingness. And there's these nice transitions to kind of highlight and show off this muscly orange. So there you go, a very simple way to use the eraser tool to create smooth transitions and to play with the opacity of things.